When I was just 2 years old, my biological mother left me under a tree at a family reunion. I was adopted by a great-great aunt and uncle who were there. My uncle, well, I call him, he's my father, was born in 1894 and lived until I was 18 years old. We moved to West Texas, a very small, segregated town that was no place to be black or brown. The fact that they were so old meant that my relationship with them was much like the relationship some of the children who were from the Mexican families who ended up translating for their parents who spoke no English. My father and mother were illiterate. They could not read or write. And so I very early became the person who was responsible for things going on in my household. At the age of 8, my sister, they adopted a daughter 30 years prior to me, sent me from Dallas, Texas, the Whitney Houston album. It was the first time I ever saw someone that said to me I could potentially get out. Now, that same summer, in an effort to teach me value of money, I went chopping cotton. Now, I've told you how old they were. So that they were still working should say something to you about class and race and how we don't escape them. I decided in that cotton field that I could not do it. Obviously, it was 92 degrees. I was not built for that. But that my mother could do it still at 64, several rows with no problem, was amazing to me. But I decided no. I said, I'm going the way of Whitney. I had no idea if I could sing. I had no idea what I had in terms of talents or whatever that could get me out. But I decided I was going the way of Whitney. So my father also worked as a gardener on the north side, where predominantly wealthy white families lived. And I would sometimes go with him, and I would watch at the end of the day as he would kneel in front of the woman who paid him to get his check. So I watched this over and over and over. I also have a memory of the Publishers Clearinghouse commercial where the black lady opens the door and she's been given the check by Ed McMahon and she cries, "Oh!" So I decided somehow that I was going to steal a checkbook from my father's white employer. I was going to forge the signatures, and I mailed them to our home so that my family thought that we somehow had won this sweepstake. And it was all fine and good. This continued for several months. I did this, and then eventually was surprised when a probation officer arrived at my 5th grade class to take me out. I was placed on probation for 1 year, and then I did it again because I was also trying to win friends and influence people with the Mexican friends in my community. So I did it again. And I was sent to a juvenile detention center for 6 months at the age of 10 years old. I waited following that at a children's home for 1.5 years while it was determined the prosecuting attorney in La Mesa, in that small West Texas town, had a history with black and brown youth of incarcerating them for long time. So I waited to see if I was going to be incarcerated until I was 18. That was the goal. We're going to send her to the Texas Youth Commission until she's 18, right? So never mind that, well, if I back up a little bit, so I had my Whitney Houston dress made somewhere before I left, right? I had me, does anybody remember the Greatest Love of All video? The white dress with the diamonds? We couldn't do diamonds, but we did rhinestones or cubic zirconia or something like that, right? So all that to say that for me, Agent, that was my restorative justice. That was my first act of resistance. That was me attempting to make a situation. I could see I had these older parents who were working, and I was trying to intervene on their behalf and on my behalf. I was determined to get us out of whatever it was that had them still working, right? So fast forward, I didn't end up being locked up until I was 18 because I had that sister. She found an attorney in Dallas who took our case pro bono because she understood that something about this is not making any sense. I only spent 6 months in the detention center and a year and a half in a children's home after that, and then I was returned home. While I was away, though, my mother and sister had made a decision. I would not be remaining in La Mesa. They didn't tell me. My sister arrived in a van. She said, "You have 2 hours to say goodbye to everybody." It was really so that I wouldn't roll. They were like, if she's got enough agency to do all of this, chances are if we let her know, she's probably not going to be around. But what she saw, what my sister saw also was something that said, hey, wait. She's got something. What is it? And what do we do with it? So fast forward, I've moved to Dallas. I've done 7th and 8th grade there. And so my sister decided, it's time for you to go to a performing arts high school. Because whatever it is that's happening in you and through you needs a kind of guidance and direction that I don't think you're getting in public school. That decision probably saved my life, number one. But number two, it was the first time that I understood that agency is not just about your physical body. It's also emotional agency, which you cannot have if you have no way to investigate your insides, your inner life, your inner world, right? And so performing arts gave me that. It gave me a way, one, to reframe the things that were happening to me, to focus the things that were happening through me, right? And so the work that I do in juvenile justice and with trauma is because I have a firsthand experience of what it is. My last sort of act of agency was when I graduated from the grad program at UW and decided I needed to reframe that. I was here in New York on the corner of 59th and 9th, the Columbus Circle, 59th and 9th. I had a moment where I understood I'm out, but I'm not out. And so I decided to write the show that was about that young child trying to have agency in her life. And I called it Wanted for obvious reasons, because I was trying to turn it inside out. Yes, I was hunted. Yes, I was wanted, but I was also wanted, right? The surprise comes when I realize that for a long time, there was no voice. So there was no Whitney Houston anymore. That dream was quiet. When your dreams go quiet, it's a problem, right? But the arts, through arts education, something reawakened. And so I just stand here today with this one final reminder, one final act of agency to you. When the bell starts to ring, where will you be? At the corner store, buying cigarettes? Where will you be? At the church, in the parking lot, praying for me. When the freedom bell starts to ring, will you be dancing on the floor, trying to let it go? When the bell starts to ring at the protest of another war, when the bell starts to ring on the other side of a wall, when the bell starts to ring, when the freedom bell starts to ring. Thank you.
Shontina Vernon. Thank you.